If you put $100 in Bitcoin in 2010, would you have held? If so, today you'd have more than $50 million. Except, in reality, you'd probably have less than $100 from your initial investment. And the reason is because you would have panic sold. Because Bitcoin has been and still is volatile. The plan to get rich sounds easy. Buy cheap, hold, make millions. But in this process, Bitcoin crashed by 50%, 80%, 90% multiple times, multiple being an understatement. You yourself may have entered Bitcoin shortly after, maybe in 2013, maybe in 2015. When did you enter? And more importantly, did you hold? I myself entered Bitcoin much later on Halloween of 2017 at the price of $6,500 per Bitcoin. And just a couple months later, Bitcoin skyrocketed to $19,000 per coin. I thought I made it. I was a genius. I was showing my friends screenshots of my portfolio. But then reality set in shortly after, and Bitcoin crashed to $6,000. But I was all right. I was back at break even, and I thought things will get better. But they didn't. Bitcoin further crashed to $3,500 per coin. I didn't sell any of my Bitcoin. I was so confused about what just happened, I was paralyzed to take any action. But instead of leaving the space, I made a decision to dive deep into learning about what Bitcoin is and what this movement is even about. I went through several resources, but the single resource that brought me the most gains was reading the Bitcoin Standard. It was the best crash course on what Bitcoin is, how money works, and still is today in my opinion. Because of this book and some other resources, instead of selling my Bitcoin, I decided to actually buy more through dollar cost averaging. So I continue to dollar cost average and hold. I did this for a while, and then things started working in my favor. The more I learned about Bitcoin, the less I stressed. I became more used to the price swings. I stopped looking at the charts every minute. I was sleeping better. I was more confident in my decisions because I learned something that changed everything, and it's this. Bitcoin is an emerging asset, the first of its kind. It's volatile due to its small market cap. However, Bitcoin is volatile in an upward trajectory. And I learned about how Amazon went through a similar pattern. Despite being one of the best performing stocks of all time, Amazon experienced crashes of 50%, 60%, even 90%. This made me realize that just because something goes down does not mean it's bad. If it does have value, eventually the price catches up. And for Bitcoin, it did. It eventually reached an all-time high of $69,000. It was a fun time. Everyone was happy until they weren't. Bitcoin started to drop 50K, then 40K, then 30K, then 20K, and eventually a low of $16,000 in 2022. But I was in a situation like this before, and I saw what happened with all the others before me. I knew it wasn't the end, so I continued DCA, 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 and it was a slow wait. Bitcoin climbed to 20K, then 30K, then 40K. And shortly after, Bitcoin's entire future changed when the Bitcoin spot ETF was approved. Bitcoin had a short run up to 48,000 after the approval, and we made it, but just for a few days until the price of Bitcoin pulled back and is currently sitting at $41,000. If you're new into the crypto space, this seems unusual, scary, but it's nothing new. I've been here before. You may have been here before. We know how this plays out in the long run. In the short term, I have no clue. Maybe Bitcoin drops to 30K next week, or maybe it pumps to 60K next month. Whatever the case, either direction would be normal for Bitcoin. The playbook is simple. Buy, hold, think long term. But although it's simple, it's not easy, especially when you consider there is new information daily, news left and right. Wrapping your head around all the updates in this space will make your brain explode unless you watch this video right here.